Part 108. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1071. Tan Shahen went to the company to work. Before she left, she told Zhang Chen that if Xiaomei's arrangements were made, the second-hand guy would call and tell me. Zhang Chen said yes. Not long after Tan Shahen left, Lin Shuwen came. They sent Jessica to Shanghai yesterday afternoon. When they came back, it was already midnight, and she slept until about 10 o'clock before coming over. Awen, you've worked hard these past 2 days, why don't you sleep a little longer? Zhang Chen knew that they came back very late yesterday and said when he saw Lin Shuwen coming in. Brother, let me install MSN for you, otherwise Jessica adds you and you don't respond, which is very rude, Lin Shuwen and Zhang Chen said, and went to sit down in front of the computer. Zhang Chen walked over, stood behind her, and watched her download a software, install it, and open it. It was a rectangular box. Zhang Chen looked at the interface and saw that it was all in English. Zhang Chen said, "This is in English. If you install it for me, I won't be able to use it." "It doesn't matter. These are the buttons. You will know how to use them." "It is not difficult," Lin Shuwen said. "MSN does not have a Chinese version yet. There is a very similar one called OIC. It is made by mainlanders, but foreigners no one is using it, so let's register it first." "Brother, what name do you want to use?" "It's the name on the internet so that others know it's yours." "Just Zhang Chen said. "No, then when you contact Jessica and the others, why don't you give her an English name?" Lin Shuwen asked. "Must have an English name," Zhang Chen asked. "That's not necessarily true, that's right, just Zhang Chen. Jessica will know it's you when she sees the Chinese," Lin Shuwen said. "Okay, then we'll call you Zhang Chen." Lin Shuwen helped Zhang Chen register and said to him, "Look, this is you, Zhang Chen. Brother, you can add photos here. Which photo do you want to use?" Zhang Chen pointed to a folder on the computer screen and said, "I don't need a photo, but a painting, okay." "Okay," Lin Shuwen said. Lin Shuwen opened the folder, and Zhang Chen pointed to a painting by Miro inside, which he downloaded from the internet. He told Lin Shuwen to use this one. Lin Shuwen clicked, and the painting appeared in the small box. "It's set up, brother. Where is the email address Jessica gave you?" Lin Shuwen asked. Zhang Chen found it and put it on the table. Lin Shuwen said, "Here, do you see it? This is to add contacts, open it." Opened, it's a box. Lin Shuwen said, "Enter Jessica's email here." "Yes, that's it, click OK." "OK, Jessica should still be sleeping now. When she wakes up and goes online, she will also add you. Here you are, in the contacts, she will appear." Lin Shuwen then opened the add contact and entered an email address. She told Zhang Chen that this is mine. "I will add you later and you will be able to see me. By the way, add Kioxin, there is no MSN, but after you add her email, the system will send her an email to teach her how to download and install it." Zhang Chen remembered it and said, "If you add Zheng Huiyang, she might have this." Zhang Chen found Zheng Huiyang's business card and gave it to Lin Shuwen. Lin Shuwen entered the email address above and clicked OK. Almost immediately, Amy appeared in the contact list, and then a dialog box popped up. Amy said, "Mr. Zhang, is that you?" "I am Zheng Huiyang." Lin Shuwen called, "I am Zhang Chen." A little head appeared on the screen, grinning, and Amy continued, "Mr. Zhang, you have MSN, that's great." Lin Shuwen smiled and typed, "I just installed it and I'm not very good at using it yet. Typing is very slow." "Do you have a camera?" Amy asked. "No." Zhang Chen was surprised. He asked Lin Shuwen, "Why is she asking about the camera?" Lin Shuwen said that with the camera, not only can the conversation be conducted, but the two parties can also video record here. So magical, Zhang Chen asked, then you ask her to buy it for me. She bought my computer and all these things for me. Lin Shuwen said yes, but she lost. Look what else I need here, you can buy it for me. Okay, Amy said, I also need headphones and a microphone. Okay, Lin Shuwen said. What do you want these for? Zhang Chen asked. You can talk during video calls, so you don't need to type. Isn't that the same as making a phone call? Zhang Chen asked. Yes. Is it okay to go to the United States? The whole world is fine. If I go back to Taiwan, we can chat here, Lin Shuwen said. No money? Zhang Chen asked. No, this software is from Microsoft and it's free. In that case, it means that international long-distance calls are free of charge, Zhang Chen shouted. If I go, then the Post and Telecommunications Office will not lose money. You don't pay them for surfing the internet, so what do they lose? Lin Shuwen asked. Zhang Chen thought about it, and it made sense. Amy asked, do you need to buy it from Sister Xiaozhao? Zhang Chen saw that this thing was really good. He said to buy it, and install it in our company, so that everyone doesn't have to make phone calls in several places. Lin Shuwen said, yes, everyone in the company will install it. Amy, then I'll come over tomorrow to count them before I buy them. Zhang Chen, okay. Amy, Mr. Zhang, I have to go and get busy. See you tomorrow. Zhang Chen, 88. The dialog box just closed. Emma jumped out of the contact, and Lin Shuwen shouted, Kioxin is here. Clicking on the frame, Lin Shuwen posted a kissing little head. Emma was startled and asked, who are you? It can't be Mr. Zhang, right? Zhang Chen and Lin Shuwen laughed, and Lin Shuwen said, I don't know either. Su Kioxin immediately understood, he, is it Sister Shuwen? You scared me. Lin Shuwen said, yes, it's me, you can join me too. Emma, already added. Zhang Chen, okay, I'll join you later. Xiao Zhao walked in, and Lin Shuwen shouted, Xiao Zhao, come here quickly. Xiao Zhao came over and Lin Shuwen introduced this MSN to her. Xiao Zhao also thought it was very magical. She said, great, then if I add Xiao Fang, can I see my parents every day? Lin Shuwen said that's right, she just needs to install a camera there. Xiao Zhao, what's your email address? Xiao Zhao told her. Lin Shuwen lost, clicked OK, smiled and said to Xiao Zhao, my brother has invited you. If you install it, you can make love with me on the computer. Xiao Zhao pulled Lin Shuwen and said, let's go, I don't care, you can help me pretend. The two men walked out. Zhang Chen sat down, thought for a moment, followed Lin Shuwen's previous operation, entered He Hongmei's email address, and clicked OK. After a while, Hongmei appeared in the contacts, and then a dialog box appeared. Appearing, Hongmei asked, Master, what is this? Zhang Chen, that's it, a chat tool. Hongmei, that's great. Zhang Chen, if anything happens in the future, you can talk about it here. Hongmei, okay, let me study it. After a while, Hongmei said, that's great, Master, I found that you can also send files and photos directly here instead of going through email. Immediately, a picture appeared on the screen. Zhang Chen clicked the blue OK underneath the picture, and a thin bar appeared below, changing color a little, indicating that it was receiving. After receiving it, Zhang Chen clicked on it and it was a design drawing. He Hongmei told him that this was just designed. Hongmei, that's great, Master. When the manuscript comes out, I can send it to you. You can help me read it? Zhang Chen said yes and thought, if he wants to send design drafts to Jessica in the future, he will send them like this. It is really convenient. Hongmei, Master, I saw it. Is there still a video allowed here? Zhang Chen, yes, as long as there is a camera, Zheng Huiyang will install it for me tomorrow. Hung Mei, then I'm going to buy one too. Zhang Chen wanted to say goodbye. After thinking about it for a while, he also wanted to be naughty. He clicked on the pattern below and saw a male green figure standing there with arms and legs spread out, so he clicked on the pattern. In the dialog box, it was quiet and there was no more movement. Zhang Chen thought to himself, Hung Mei probably walked away. There was an extra Xiao Zhao in the contacts. Zhang Chen knew that Xiao Zhao had installed it there. He was about to click on Xiao Zhao when a dialog box popped up. Xiao Zhao said, "Have you seen me, brother?" Zhang Chen, "I saw it." Xiao Zhao, "Okay, it's time to pretend." Zhang Chen, "Yeah." Lin Shuwen walked in, and Zhang Chen thought of a question. He asked, "Awen, what if Jessica joins me and she says something, and I don't understand English, can't understand it, and can't speak it?" Lin Shuwen came over. She pointed to the row of contacts and said, "You can look at this row of contacts. The colored ones mean they are online. Look at me, Kioxin, Zheng Huiyang, hey, Hung Mei." Hung Mei? Brother, did you add it yourself? Yes, Zhang Chen said. Not bad. You learn quickly, so you can already use it, Lin Shuwen said with a smile. Zhang Chen said proudly, "I also chatted with Hung Mei, and she even tried to send me a picture." Zhang Chen said, and clicked on the dialog box between him and Hung Mei. Lin Shuwen looked at the dialog box, then looked at Zhang Chen, and laughed. "What's wrong?" Zhang Chen asked. "Brother, do you know what the symbol is and what it represents?" Lin Shuwen asked, pointing to the little man with his arms and legs crossed. "What does it represent?" Zhang Chen asked. "Hug, you hugged Hung Mei," Lin Shuwen giggled. Zhang Chen's face turned red instantly, no wonder Hung Mei didn't respond. "I don't know either," Zhang Chen said quickly. "Do you still want to hug Kioxin?" Lin Shuwen continued to smile. Zhang Chen glared at her and quickly changed the subject. He said, "As you said earlier, what if you were online? You can just paste what she said, and we will help you translate it online. We can also translate what you want to say, and you can paste it back, so you can communicate, right?" "Clever. This is really a good idea," Zhang Chen shouted. "But, don't be ambiguous, otherwise we will see it," Lin Shuwen said. "Sister Shuwen," Ji Ling called at the door. Zhang Chen stared at her, Lin Shuwen giggled, and said to Zhang Chen, "I'm going to help Ji Ling install it. I'm very busy today." Just as Lin Shuwen left, the screen moved. Zhang Chen saw that in the dialog box between him and Hung Mei posted a picture of a woman with her arms crossed. "To die." Zhang Chen quickly closed the dialog box. "Thank you for the rewards from Dreaming Life, Doll Tin Soldier, and reading books every day. Thank you for your monthly votes from Wooden Man, It's Not an Impossible World, Sample Thieves, Yuingzi, and Book Friends 201904121548362008. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health." The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Niang. Chapter 1072. Zhang Chen's phone rang. He looked at it and saw that it was a second-rate guy. Zhang Chen picked it up. Xiao Mei's voice came from the phone. "Brother Zhang Chen, my work has been arranged." "Okay," Zhang Chen shouted, "what kind of job do you do?" "Director Zhang arranged a good job for me, which is to work as a statistician in the production department," Xiao Mei said. "Okay, where is your household registration?" Zhang Chen asked. "The relocation permit has been obtained from the power plant police station. Let's go back to the township police station and apply for another household registration relocation permit. Director Zhang said that the labor department will help me handle the other procedures." Xiao Mei said, and it could be heard from her tone that she was happy. Zhang Chen couldn't help but laugh as he held the phone in his hand. Xiaomei, let the second-rate guy answer the phone. Hey, wait a minute. Xiaomei, I have something else to tell you. Once you enter the power plant, work hard. After you settle down, write a letter to your brother and tell him the good news. Your brother will definitely be happy for you in Shanghai, Zhang Chen said. Yeah, brother Zhang Chen, I will work hard and write to my brother to ask him to reform and try to come back as soon as possible. After Xiaomei finished speaking, she gave the phone to Ergo. Instructor, it's me. Boss, have you ever called Tan Shahen? I was beaten, but it wasn't us. It was the factory director Zhang who beat me. He also asked me to talk to Mr. Tan on the phone. He was forced to do it. Oh, I'm sorry, little sister. The instructor didn't let me do it in front of women. Talk dirty, okay, instructor, why are you talking to me the same as Mr. Tan? Are you wearing the same pair of pants? What brand of pants? Asked the second-hand guy. Go away, then you should send Xiaomei back now. Go to the police station first. When you get there, they should not get off work yet, Zhang Chen confessed. I know, I'm rude. Then go to her house and remember that. I know, it's long-winded. I'll send my little sister off tomorrow and bring her luggage to report. The factory has arranged dormitories here. My little sister said that she and her brother will go home every week. Her brother goes to school here. Okay, then you make the arrangements, Zhang Chen said. Zhang Chen hung up the phone, and his phone rang again. It was Tan Shahen, and she was talking about Xiaomei. Zhang Chen and Tan Shahen were still talking when they saw Lao Tan coming with one of his company commanders. The company commander was also the captain. After Lao Tan went to take charge of the construction company, he divided his men into groups. Liu Bang, the great ancestor of the Han dynasty, laughed at him and said that he wanted to make daily life full of smoke. Lao Tan and the others came to ask Zhang Chen to go to Kiasi to see how the place should be modified, and at the same time to measure the foundation of the new factory building to be built. With accurate figures, Lao Tan could arrange the drawings. Zhang Chen stood up and was about to leave. Jessica suddenly appeared in his MSN contacts. Zhang Chen knew that Jessica was online. When he was hesitating whether to say hello, Jessica's name flashed. Yes, Zhang Chen clicked on it. Jessica, hi. Zhang Chen thought for a moment and realized that no translation was needed, so he replied hi. Brother, wait a moment. Zhang Chen and Lao Tan said that Lao Tan had agreed. Zhang Chen stood there and waited for a minute or two. Jessica didn't respond. Zhang Chen understood that this meant that they had added each other. If there is anything, contact them again. There is nothing wrong. Chatty. Zhang Chen turned off the computer and went out with Lao Tan and others to Kiasi. The falling raindrops are chaotic, blurring people's vision, blurring the boundary between the water surface and the bank of the Jiangnan Canal below, and even blurring the outline of the splendid Jiangnan building opposite. This continuous rain filled the sky and the earth with water vapor and mist, as well as a kind of turmoil and uneasiness. Entering June of 1999, the entire human race seemed to be in a state of expectation and uneasiness. From newspapers, radio, and television to the internet, people everywhere are talking about the millennium, this and the millennium is so annoying. It seems that mankind only needs 1 foot to step from December 31, 1999 to January 1, 2000, from the 20th century to the 21st century, and a great moment will immediately unfold. When wars are eliminated and disasters are far away, people of different skin colors can be free and bathe in the sunshine of happiness. Looking at individuals, those stars and celebrities, looking at their beaming expressions when they talk about the millennium, it seems that the moment the bell of the 21st century rings, they are no longer stupid. Zhang Chen sneered at this. How stupid, greedy, and wretched you were before. It will be the same in the millennium. It will not be better or worse. Those who like to look for a sense of ritual in the days that pile up day by day are either stupid or lazy. They don't even make any efforts to change themselves, and just want to use external forces to make their fantasies soar to the sky, or to find something for their boring mediocrity. Something to impress yourself. For those who work hard, every second of every day is equally busy. They don't even have time to think about what a ritual is. Go to hell with your sense of ritual. Just like Zheng Huiyang, who ran out at noon to install cameras for them. Zhang Chen really felt that she was changing every day, and every time he saw her, there was a new Zheng Huiyang. From her changes, we can see that their company and teacher Ma are amazing. Zhang Chen thinks that guy is quite amazing. He can talk about something that no one can understand in such an eloquent way, and he also makes people who follow him understand. After believing it, everyone becomes divine. He felt that they were like a group of believers who were pursuing their cause persistently. They had to be as religious as believers towards something they couldn't understand. Such a company and such a group of people were terrifying. Along with the expectation for the millennium, there is also the uneasiness of all mankind. From newspapers, radio, and television to the internet, a word called millennium bug has begun to appear one after another. The frequency of its appearance is about the same as millennium bug. The same height, as if the world will be swallowed up by the millennium bug in the first second of January 1, 2000. Zheng Huiyang, tell me, what is this millennium bug? Why do I feel that being mentioned by some people is more terrifying than a world war? Zhang Chen said, but it seems that even after I watched it for a long time, no one said it. It's clear. I can't explain it clearly. It's very simple. In the 1960s, computer storage equipment was very expensive. In order to save storage space, programmers at that time used the last two digits to indicate the year. 1961 used 61, and 1962 used 61. Using 62, later programmers were taught by programmers in the 1960s from generation to generation, and this habit has been maintained. Every year, so many programs are written all over the world, and to put it bluntly, many of the newly written programs are copied from the old ones. In this way, the roots of the disease planted in the 1960s will become more and more serious. He was buried deeper and deeper, and in the 1990s, he had an attack. Oh, no, he hadn't had an attack yet, but he had been discovered. Everyone thinks that the century is about to cross. If the year 2000 ends up being 00, the computer will not be able to tell whether it is 1900 or 2000. This is a problem that only occurs after 1,000 years, so it is called the millennium bug. But in fact, it was a problem created by those old masters in the 1960s, but computers don't know it anymore, and they were confused by us. Why are you confused? Zhang Chen asked without thinking. There will be calculation errors. For example, if a child was born in 1998, in 2002, is 2002 minus 1998 equal to 4 years old? Then if you need to calculate it with a computer, it is 02 minus 98, which is equal to minus 96 years old. He has to return. The mother's womb will not be born until 96 years later. Zheng Huiyang said, and Zhang Chen laughed. He said, okay, you are better than the experts. As soon as you said it, I understood everything. Then tell me, what is the harm? Not to mention the harm, but also because of this, in many computer systems, even if the year 2000 is a leap year, in the calendar of such computer systems, there is no day of February 29, 2000, but directly from the year 2000 February 28, jump to March 1, 2000, is that a mess? Yes, it's definitely not right to steal the whole day away, Zhang Chen said. Before the Y2K came, there was another 9999 bug. It would strike before the year 2000, Zheng Huiyang said. 9999 bug. What the hell is this? Zhang Chen was curious. In some older computer systems, they will use the numeric string 99 or 99/99, etc. in the program. It is used to indicate the end of the file, permanent expiration, deletion, and other special automatic operations. In this way, when September 9, 1999, or April 9, 1999, which is the 99th day of 1999, comes, the computer system will encounter 99 or 99 when processing a file with a date in the content. Numeric strings such as /99, etc. will mistake the file as expired or delete the file, automatically perform incorrect operations, and cause system confusion or even crash. Zheng Huiyang said. Zhang Chen nodded and asked, is this also left by those old guys in the 1960s? Zheng Huiyang nodded, so we are unlucky and have to wipe their butts. So April 9th has passed, has its harm happened? Zhang Chen asked. There is no harm. That's because everyone was aware of this problem in 1997 and has already carried out prevention and repair. Zheng Huiyang said, the bigger test will be September 9th, and the bigger one will be the Millennium bug. What's their harm? Zhang Chen still asked this old question. One is causing system chaos. Most systems have a time sequence. If the time is wrong, everything else will be wrong, such as banks, aircraft aviation systems, railway systems, etc., including each of our computers, may be affected. There are also many embedded devices that are equipped with smart chips, such as elevators, medical equipment, city traffic lights, etc., all of which will go wrong. Zhang Chen understood and said, in this way, the impact is indeed huge, so what can be done? There is no other way. The programs that need to be rewritten will be rewritten one by one, and the equipment that needs to be replaced will be replaced immediately, Zheng Huiyang said. Let me go, isn't that a lot of work? The butts of the 1960s were too big. These bastard old guys, Zhang Chen scolded. They don't care about you, they can't see you anyway, Zheng Huiyang said with a smile. Thank you for the tip from the third one from top to bottom, 131, on the shore. Thank you for your monthly votes for Fantasy in the Wind and No Bugs Flying. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei-Shi Niang. Chapter 1073. Zheng Huiyang helped them install the camera and headphones. Zhang Chen and Xiao Zhao tried it. Except that the picture was a bit like slow motion, it was still clear. Zheng Huiyang said, this is the damn internet speed. Zhang Chen asked Zheng Huiyang, how is your company? Zheng Huiyang said that she was extremely busy, but the company's business was developing rapidly. What about Teacher Ma? There is a new Taiwanese who switched jobs from a large company. Now I follow him every day and talk about venture capital, Zheng Huiyang said. Venture investment? What do you mean? Zhang Chen asked. I don't know very well. I don't care much about those things. It probably means that if you have nothing, I will give you a sum of money, and the money will probably be blown away by the wind. Zheng Huiyang said. Zhang Chen laughed, and he found that Zheng Huiyang seemed to speak louder now. Although she was still chattering, there was already a smell of wind and fire in her voice. Do you and Lao Wan use MSN every day now? Zhang Chen asked. No, he can't read English and said he can't use it. We use OIK, Zheng Huiyang said. Zhang Chen remembered that Lin Shuwen had said that this was developed by the Chinese and was similar to MSN. Zhang Chen wanted to install one. Before he could say anything, Zheng Huiyang said, I will install one for you soon. The application for registration was quickly completed. Zheng Huiyang wrote 5 numbers on a sticky note and said to Zhang Chen, "Mr. Zhang, this is your OIC number, 52,579. Remember it?" "Why remember it?" Zhang Chen asked curiously. "If you go outside or go to an internet cafe, you can use it if you have anything to do. Some internet cafe machines have OIC installed. If not, you can take the next step. By the way, everyone in the company can install this. This is Chinese. It is more convenient for internal use within the company, but it is a pity." "What's a pity?" Zhang Chen asked. "Americans are too arrogant. In fact, MSN has been around since 1995. Until now, there is no Chinese version. If it had a Chinese version, OIC would probably not have anything to do with it. They probably didn't expect that the Chinese would do the same thing. Americans are actually very stupid in many cases," Zheng Huiyang said. Zhang Chen compared MSN and OIC. In terms of interface, he felt that MSN was more beautiful and OIC was a bit rough. "What does roughness have to do with it, as long as it is easy to use?" Zheng Huiyang agreed with Zhang Chen, but she thought. Zheng Huiyang looked at her watch and said, "Okay, Mr. Zhang, I have to go to work. Call me if you need anything. The second-rate guy isn't here today, so I'll send you there." No, I came here on a bicycle and I have to ride back," Zheng Huiyang said and left. Zhang Chen was just about to say that my car could fit a bicycle, but then he thought that his car had been driven away by a second-hand car. However, Xiao Zhao's trunk could also be loaded, but the lid couldn't be closed, as long as it was not seen by the police. Zhang Chen walked out of the door and wanted to get the key from Xiao Zhao. Seeing that Zheng Huiyang had disappeared, Zhang Chen shook his head and walked back. It has been 2 weeks, and Meng Ping has not received a call from Lao Cha. He called Lao Zhu, and Lao Zhu also said that he had not contacted him. "It's normal. This person is always like this. The dragon sees the beginning but not the end," Lao Zhu said. When Meng Ping thought that Lao Cha might have other arrangements and that the matter had already passed, Lao Cha suddenly called him again and told him that he had arrived in Nanjing and was still staying in room 1107 of the Jinling Hotel. "Please invite Meng Ping." Passed. Meng Ping's office is in the building opposite. It has just been renovated and he has already moved in. Unlike Lu Ligan, he does not have a noble wife to take care of him. He is on the top floor of the building, giving he has reserved more than 800 square meters. From here, he can overlook half of Nanjing. The other half is on the other side of the building and he cannot see it. When the office decoration was completed and he was about to move in, he called Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan and invited them to come for tea. Meng Ping told them that although it was not cold at high places, there were floor-to-ceiling glass and air conditioning. "The scenery is infinitely beautiful, a little too good, come and share it." Zhang Chen happened to have an American client who couldn't come. After hearing Meng Ping's words, Lu Ligan cursed viciously, "Go away, don't go." Meng Ping laughed. He knew that Lu Ligan originally wanted to put his office on the top floor of the center of Hangzhou, but his wife stopped him and moved it to a ruined temple. Now he can only use it, and he is on the 3rd floor. A former president of Zhejiang University worked in the office, and in the yard there was a big camphor tree where Si Duxia peed on to comfort himself. Letting him see the scenery here was indeed too exciting for him. Meng Ping immediately went downstairs and rushed to the Jinling Hotel opposite. He arrived at the door of 1107 and rang the doorbell. It was Lao Cha who opened the door for him. Just as the two of them entered and sat down, the doorbell rang again. Lao Meng walked over and opened the door. A woman in her 30s came in. Looks very capable, wearing a navy blue two-way shirt on the upper body and a pair of grass-green military trousers on the lower body, which seems to reveal her true identity. She was stunned for a moment when she saw Meng Ping, and Lao Cha said, "This is the Lao Meng I introduced to you." Then he told Lao Meng, She is Xiaoning, Tranquilning, and she is also a member of our working group. Lao Meng and Xiaoning shook hands, and the three of them sat down. How is it? Lao Cha asked Xiaoning. I found the person, but it was more troublesome. He was a lonely old man with a very strange temper. He hardly interacted with the people around him and had no close friends. It turned out that there were two old colleagues from the factory who occasionally interacted with each other. Unfortunately, those two people all passed away. Xiaoning said and handed a file bag to Lao Cha. Lao Cha opened it and took a look. Lao Meng glanced at the top of the file and saw a stack of photos. The photos seemed to all show the same old man. At first glance, the photo was taken secretly from a distance with a telephoto lens. After checking the information, the old man gave them to Meng Ping. Only then did Meng Ping see clearly the old man in the photo. He was thin, of medium build, with a crew cut, white hair, a slightly aquiline nose, and a tight mouth. Meng Ping felt that the old man with this appearance was not an easy person to talk to, as he was from the same family as his old man. Is this Li Gongkong? Meng Ping asked Lao Cha. Lao Cha nodded. Meng Ping flipped through the information below. The first page was the household registration information pulled from the police station. The children's column was empty, indicating that there were no children. The father's column was also empty, and the mother's column said Chen Yuzhen. Li Gongkong was originally an employee of Nanjing 924 factory. Meng Ping knew that this factory was also called Nanjing's Inlian Machinery Factory. It was originally a military factory. Later, the army was converted into civilians. The bowl refrigerator produced in the 1980s was once popular. In the following material, Li Gongkong admitted that Li Lejun was his father, but emphasized that he had never seen his father since he was sensible, and his mother had never told him that his father was Li Lejun. When Meng Ping saw it, the investigator asked, "We know that Li Lejun returned to his hometown of Wuning in 1937 and lived there for a while. How come you haven't seen him?" Li Gongkong said, "Even if he returned to Wuning, I had never seen him. He had left me and my mother for many years at that time, but he still returned to Wuning with his wife and children. How could he meet us?" Another investigator asked, "Since you said you had never met your father and your mother never told you that your father was Li Lejun, how did you know about the father-son relationship between him and you?" Li Gongkong said that he also knew it from comrades like you who were transferred abroad. Someone came to investigate in the past 5 years. They told me that my father was Li Lejun. They also told me that my father was not a reactionary and advocated resistance to Japan. Also said that when my father passed away in Chongqing, some patriots went to express condolences in person. Meng Ping looked at it and felt his scalp numb. It seemed that this matter was becoming more difficult. In such a high-pressure environment, Li Gongkong had to hide the fact that he had met his father, and now he had to pry open an old man in his 70s. His mouth is even more difficult. For him, he is not even afraid of the threat of death, so what else is he afraid of? Have you considered finding a breakthrough from his former factory colleagues? Lao Cha asked Xiaoning. Xiaoning shook his head and said, "This factory has stopped production now. The people we can find have no impression of this person at all. When they entered the factory, he had already retired. People of similar age to him, most of them have passed away, and even the two who have survived have been bedridden for a long time and are delirious. He is the strongest one." Lao Cha looked at Meng Ping and sighed, "This is even more urgent." Meng Ping nodded. "By the way, Xiaoning, where is the neighborhood committee? Have you ever done any work?" Lao Cha asked. "I've already tried it, but I only dared to try it quietly. It's the same, with almost no contact. I came to the door several times, but they didn't even want to open the door," Xiaoning said. "Is there any routine in his daily life?" Meng Ping asked. "Where does he often go?" "My life is very regular. Every morning from 6:30 to 7:30, I go to Baleshu Park. I don't walk the birds, play chess, or exercise. I basically don't have any acquaintances. I just walk around and look around on my way home. I passed by the market, bought some food, and then basically didn't go out for the whole day, Xiaoning said. Have you touched the place where he lives? Lao Cha asked. Xiaoning nodded. We went in twice while he was out for more than an hour. They were all comrades with rich experience. We looked at every corner and found nothing. Meng Ping thought for a while, and he said to Lao Cha, well, Lao Cha, I will go to Baleshu Park tomorrow to see what the situation is, and then see if there is a breakthrough. Lao Cha said yes, but you should pay attention to hiding yourself so as not to be discovered by him. If this arouses his alertness, it will be difficult to approach him again. Meng Ping said yes, I will pay attention. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1074. Baleshu Park is located on the north side of Wudingmen in Nanjing, next to the Confucius Temple. It is only 5 or 6 kilometers away from Mengping Company. You can see Mengping's building anywhere in Baleshu Park. Of course, Mengping stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling glass in his office and had a panoramic view of the entire Baleshu Park, including the Confucius Temple and the Ming City Wall and Wuding Gate to the east of Baleshu Park. This was originally the villa of Su De, the founder of the Ming dynasty and king of Zhongshan. The Qinhua River was diverted here, forming an egret lake. There are bridges of various sizes in the park, connecting the islands in the middle of the lake and the pavilion surrounded by water on 3 sides. Najisa connected. Among Su Da's descendants, the most famous is Su Tianxi. He is famous not because of any great achievements, but because he has been idle for generations and has been rich for generations. During the Zheng period of the Ming dynasty, he expanded his family's villa. It became the largest and majestic garden in Nanjing at that time and was named East Garden. Su Tianxi used Dongyuan as a place for him and the literati of the time Wang Shizhen and Wu Cheng'an to play and have fun. Chinese literati were really boring. Their lives were nothing more than drinking, sex, and talent. They had no choice but to put their pen in someone else's hand. You can also write about your own fooling around with prostitutes as an elegant gathering. Not only that, people can write prostitutes such as Su Xiaoxiao, Shuetao, Li Shishi, Lu Rishi, Dong Zioan, etc. as Fanzu style. I'm sorry, these 4 words were inscribed by Sun Yat-sen on the tombstone of Chiang Kai-shek's mother at the mouth of Zikao, Fenghua, Zhejiang. They mean a model among girls, enough to serve as a role model. Chinese literati really wanted to write these 4 words on Su Xiaoxiao's tomb. Unfortunately, they have been dishonest for a long time, and not many people will believe their lies. Their credibility is not as good as that of Sun Yat-sen and Sun Daipao. This East Garden, during the Wanli period of the Ming dynasty, Wang Shizhen, a literary leader at the time, described it as the most magnificent of all gardens. In such a broken garden, is it the best among all the gardens? How can you let those gardens in Suzhou and Hangzhou hold their breath? This is not because Wang Shizhen has little knowledge, but because literati are so shameless. As long as you give them wine and beautiful women, they will say all shameless things. The same goes for giving them an official position or a prize. Anyway, if Wu Qingzhen came to this kind of place less often, his journey to the west would definitely be better than it is now, and he would not be so mentally retarded. Almost every time the great sage appears in a lively and arrogant manner, Guanyin comes out to wipe it out in the end. But, this way of writing, it must be because I drank too much and was lazy. Ahem, that's too far off topic. Meng Ping went out to buy a long quan sword the day before and dressed up carefully. He wore a poplin cardigan on the top, a pair of poplin bloomers on the bottom, and a pair of soft-soled shoes on his feet, just like the big shoes in the park. Most swordsmen appear like that. The day before, Xiao Ning had told Meng Ping the route map that Li Gongkong would take every day. Meng Ping arrived at the east gate of Bailehu Park at 6:20. After entering, he walked a few steps forward and saw the Bailu Tower on his right. In front is Huanhua Bridge. There were already a lot of people sitting in the pavilion in the middle of Huanhua Bridge. Meng Ping looked at it and walked over to an old man in his 60s with yellow teeth and sat down. He took out a cigarette and put it in his mouth first. One, and then pretended to have just remembered it, and handed one to the old man next to him. Although this action is still a bit abrupt, it is better than handing someone a cigarette as soon as you sit down. In that way, you are either asking for directions or asking for help. And holding one in your mouth first, and then giving it to others means sharing. When a person is in a good mood, he will also share something with strangers. This is not so strange. The old man was stunned for a moment, but he accepted it. The two of them lit up their cigarettes. After a cigarette, the two of them naturally started chatting. This old man is Meng Ping's cover. If you sit there alone, it is easy to attract other people's attention. If two people sit and chat, it looks much more normal. At 6:30, Meng Ping saw Li Gongkong's figure on the other side of the bridge. Meng Ping turned sideways, with his back to him, and continued chatting with the old man sitting on his right hand. In this way, he could not let him go. Li Gongkong saw his face, and secondly, after Li Gongkong walked over, he could naturally follow his back. Meng Ping saw Li Gongkong get off the bridge and walk a few steps forward. When he reached the four-way intersection in front of him, he did not turn right into the secluded path, nor continued straight toward the west gate of Bailehu Park. Instead, he turned left and stepped onto the Wanyu Bridge. Meng Ping did not get up in a hurry, but continued chatting with the old man. Past Wanyu Bridge is the island in the middle of the lake. A person who goes to the island in the middle of the lake becomes the turtle caught in the urn, unable to escape, let alone such an octogenarian old man. Li Gongkong didn't seem to be in a hurry to be that turtle. He walked to the highest point of the stone arch bridge, stopped, turned around, looked at the egret lake in front of him, stretched out his arms, and stretched them out twice. Meng Ping was glad that he had not been in a hurry to follow him, otherwise, he would have been completely exposed to his sight. And now he is still sitting in the pavilion. Although he is facing him, the light in the pavilion is much darker than outside. The distance is not far. Meng Ping can clearly see Li Gongkong's face. Standing in the light of Li Gongkong, he looks at Meng Ping. In this dark place, the face should be blurry, not to mention there are 8 or 9 people in the pavilion. Although Li Gongkong is over 80 years old, his entire figure is not rickety at all and is still straight. Although he is only about 1.7 meters tall, he is half a head taller than the old man passing behind him. Li Gongkong stood there for 5 or 6 minutes. Meng Ping and the old man had finished smoking their second cigarettes. Meng Ping offered him a third cigarette. The other man quickly waved his hand and declined, saying to Meng Ping, "Thank you, I won't smoke anymore, it's over the limit. It would be terrible if I get addicted to it." Seeing that Meng Ping didn't understand, he continued, "My wife is in charge of all my cigarettes and only gives me 1 cigarette a day. I always take 2 puffs and then put them in my bag. This time, I smoked 2 in one breath, enjoyed it." Meng Ping laughed. Li Gongkong turned around and walked off Wanyu Bridge. Meng Ping stood up. He handed the half-pack of cigarettes to the old man and told him to hide it. "This is private money." The old man was stunned again, and then quickly said, thank you, young man." "I'm not young anymore, almost 40, Meng Ping said. "Compared to me, he's still small," the old man said. Meng Ping smiled, and played 2 more haha with the old man. "See you later," and then left. Meng Ping walked across the Wanyu Bridge and saw a group of old ladies dancing on the Song Pavilion in the East Garden. Li Gongkong stood alone 4 or 5 meters away from them. Instead of looking at these old ladies, he still had his hands behind his back. Standing facing Bailu Lake. Meng Ping turned right and did not walk towards Dongyuan Song Pavilion. Instead, he went around behind Xiongnan Garden and walked to the end. There was a terrazzo chair at the corner. Meng Ping sat down on the chair and watched from a distance. Looking at the back of Li Gongkong diagonally opposite, Meng Ping felt that Li Gongkong was standing there, facing the lake and sideways to the group of old ladies, but he felt that Li Gongkong was looking at the group of old ladies with his ears. It was indeed like this. After the group of old ladies finished dancing, Li Gongkong turned around and walked towards Yunya Bridge. After passing the Yunya Bridge, there was the original site of the East Garden. Li Gongkong did not stop in the East Garden. He just stopped in front of the closed Xinyuan building to look at the notice of peace of mind posted beside the door. Then he turned around and continued walking. After leaving Dongyuan, go left. Instead of taking the main road, he took a small road towards Yulongqi and Yujiantang. There were very few people on this road. Meng Ping did not dare to follow too closely. He waited for 4 or 5 minutes before walking over, but he could no longer see them. The figure of Li Gongkong. Meng Ping walked forward a few steps faster. When he reached the four-way intersection, Meng Ping judged that Li Gongkong should have crossed the Air Shui Bridge to the left and went to Bailu Island. However, Meng Ping did not see Li Gongkong until he passed the Air Shui Bridge. Meng Ping thought to himself that he could not walk so fast, so he quickly turned around and walked back. When he reached the four-way intersection, he continued walking straight forward. He walked around the Yujiantang, but did not see Li Gongkong. This Jiantang was where Su Tianxi, Wang Shizhen, and Wu Qingzhen drank and had fun. Could it be that they took the old man away? Meng Ping actually walked to the round door of Yujiantang, looked in through the closed door, and saw only a white wall. Meng Ping retreated to the four-way intersection, thought about it, and walked towards the Air Shui Bridge. As soon as he passed the Air Shui Bridge, he saw Li Gongkong coming out of the public toilet, unzipping his pants as he walked. Meng Ping almost laughed out loud, and then he felt that he had to urinate urgently. Seeing Li Gongkong walking towards Xixiu Pavilion, he quickly entered the bathroom, washed his hands and came out. He no longer chased Li Gongkong from the path, but walked directly along the main road until he reached Quivai Pavilion at the end of Kaiubo Bridge, where 5 people were sitting. 6 people. Meng Ping walked over and touched his pocket. There were no cigarettes in his pocket. Then he remembered that his cigarettes had been pawned as private money. Meng Ping sat down in the pavilion. After 7 or 8 minutes, he saw Li Gongkong walking over. Li Gongkong probably wanted to sit in the pavilion, but he really didn't like to be too close to others. Seeing that there were so many people in the pavilion, he stood for a while and continued walking forward. He walked to the Kaiubo Bridge and sat down on the railing of the bridge. It was close to the East Gate exit and there were many people coming and going. Meng Ping didn't have to worry that Li Gongkong would find him. He just sat there and looked at him. Li Gongkong sat for 8 or 9 minutes, then stood up and continued walking forward. Meng Ping also stood up and followed him, walking along a tree-lined road to the end. Directly in front of him was the Tianwang Hall of Zhifeng Temple with yellow walls, glazed gold tiles and tiles. Turn right to the east gate of Bailishu Park, which is where Li Gongkong came in. He went around in a circle to go back. It's true that I don't walk birds, play chess, or exercise, and I have basically no acquaintances. I just walk around and look around. Meng Ping saw Li Gongkong walking out of the east gate. He looked at the time. It happened to be 7:30. Meng Ping felt a little strange. He didn't see Li Gongkong looking at his watch along the way. Meng Ping doubted whether he was wearing a watch, but how could you pinch so accurately at this time? Li Gongkong went out of the east gate and turned left, walked forward along Dongguantu Road, walked 40 or 50 meters, turned left at Chenbai Street, and turned left about 10 meters in, and there was a vegetable market. The so-called vegetable market is a small one. From the outside of the glass fiber reinforced plastic tiled greenhouse, you can see the scene inside the entire market. Meng Ping saw a noodle shop opposite the market, so he walked in, ordered a bowl of skin belly noodles, and chose a seat facing the market to sit down. The noodles arrived quickly. While eating the noodles, Meng Ping looked at Li Gongkong in the market. He saw him buying a handful of vegetables and a piece of tofu. He also walked to the meat stall and bought a piece of pork liver. Li Gongkong walked out and walked to the right. Meng Ping hurriedly paid the bill and went out. He still had a third of the noodles left. He walked to the door and looked to the left, and saw Li Gongkong walking into a courtyard with 3 four-story buildings. The houses, judging by their age, must have been the dormitories of Factory 924 back then. There was nothing left to follow, Xiao Ning said. After Li Gongkong returned, he didn't go out the whole day. 2 very experienced comrades already visited his residence. They went in to search twice and found nothing. Meng Ping looked back and saw that the bowl of noodles on the table had not been put away. He walked back and sat down to continue eating. After a busy morning, I got nothing. However, the noodles are still good. Just think that I walked all this way just to eat this bowl of skin belly noodles. Thank you for the rewards from half asleep, Dal Tin Soldier, and reading books every day. Thank you for your monthly pass. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Niang. Chapter 1075. Meng Ping stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling glass, holding a telescope in his hand. He wanted to find Qinbei Street and Li Gongkong's house. Although it was a sunny day outside, the whole of Nanjing was filled with a layer of light red fog, and he could not see anything. Qing Dynasty, not to mention Li Gongkong's house, even Bailashu Park was hidden in this haze. Meng Ping gave up his efforts and sat down on the sofa. He thought carefully about what happened in the morning. All the scenes were played back in his mind like slow motion. Finally, he gave up his efforts. From the whole process of Li Gongkong, can't find a gap. If Li Gongkong is wary of the outside world, your attempt to approach him at any point will arouse his suspicion. Meng Ping sighed. When it was almost 10 o'clock, Meng Ping stood up and went downstairs. He walked to the Jinling Hotel opposite, wanting to talk to Lao Cha about what happened in the morning. He arrived at the door of room 1107, and after ringing the doorbell for a long time, there was no response. When he went to the reception desk downstairs and asked, the receptionist told him that room 1107 had already checked out. Meng Ping shook his head. Lao Zhu was right. This Lao Cha was really a dragon that never saw its end. Meng Ping went back to his office. As soon as he sat down at his desk, he heard a knock on the door. He walked over and opened the door. Meng Ping was stunned for a moment. He saw Xiao Ning standing outside the door. Xiao Ning asked, "What, you're not welcome?" Meng Ping quickly said, "Welcome, please come in." Xiao Ning followed Meng Ping in and looked around. She said, "Today is not Sunday. Lao Meng, why is no one working in your company?" Meng Ping smiled and said, "It's not that no one is at work, it's that all the company's employees are here." "What do you mean?" Xiao Ning looked at him doubtfully. "Lao Meng, you don't mean to say that you are the only one in such a big company, right?" "It's just me," Meng Ping said. "This is too exaggerated," Xiao Ning shouted. "It's nothing. I haven't figured out what to do yet. I haven't figured out what I'm hiring people for. I pay them in vain," and look at each other in disgust. Xiao Ning nodded and understood, "That's true." Xiao Ning sat down on the sofa, and Meng Ping said, "That old Cha has left." Xiao Ning said, "Ignore him, he is always like this. He will only show up when he should show up. Tell me about you. Apart from eating a bowl of skin belly noodles this morning, did you find anything else?" Meng Ping was surprised. Are you following me? Xiaoning smiled slightly and shook his head. I'm not following you, but you broke into our site. We have been following Li Gongkong 24 hours a day. Do you think you are the only one looking for a breakthrough? Meng Ping breathed a sigh of relief and understood. Yes, if they were following him, how could Xiaoning not even know that he was the only one in his company? Lao Meng, did you find anything this morning? Xiaoning asked. Meng Ping shook his head and said angrily, no, nothing was found. Xiaoning laughed softly. Why are you laughing? Meng Ping asked. You underestimate us, Lao Meng. Xiaoning said, we are a group of 8 people and we take turns watching us 24 hours a day. Do you know how long we have been watching? How long? 11 days. Xiaoning said, those are experienced warriors. We have been watching for 11 days and haven't found anything. You wanted to find out all morning. Are you looking down on us? Meng Ping felt a shiver in his heart. He was not surprised that they had been staring at them for 11 days, but that he was surprised by the 2 words Xiaoning said inadvertently and out of habit, soldier. It seemed that his guess about Xiaoning's identity was correct. Xiaoning wrote a phone number to Meng Ping and said to him, Lao Meng, this is my phone number. Lao Cha has left. It seems that this task is on us. I hope we can cooperate. Meng Ping said yes, Lao Cha, the dragon has never seen its end. I really feel like I can't find the organization. It's great that you can contact me. I still envy you. At least you can go back to the company and go home every day. We haven't returned to the work for more than a month and have been wandering outside, Xiaoning said. Meng Ping knew in his heart that he had not returned to his work for more than a month because he was afraid that others would discover their traces. Meng Ping said. Then you can come to my place. Did you see that every office here is empty? Xiaoning shook his head and said, no, I have already taken a big risk by coming to you like this. You are our trump card. Lao Cha said that we must not implicate you unless it is absolutely necessary. We still, on the phone, get in touch. Okay, I'm ready to leave. Xiaoning stood up and said, I came here mainly to remind you not to look for Li Gongkong again. My people can find you. Think about it, others can't find you. Meng Ping smiled awkwardly and said, I thought I hid it well, but it seems I'm not professional enough. It's already very good. Lao Cha agrees for you to go today. Firstly, he wants you to meet Li Gongkong himself. Secondly, he also wants to see your ability to disguise yourself. Generally speaking, you are qualified, but there is no need to risk it. It's a second risk, Xiaoning said. Meng Ping said yes, he remembered something and asked, what if I am clumsy today and exposed? Xiaoning looked at him and smiled, no, our people will protect you. Someone even asked me to thank you for the half pack of cigarettes you gave him. Ah, Meng Ping was startled, that is one of us too. What do you think? Xiaoning chuckled. Okay, I'm leaving. Xiaoning said and walked towards the door. Before she reached the door, her cell phone rang and Xiaoning picked it up. What? What did you say? Xiaoning stopped. Be clear, when? How long has it been since you went in? While answering the phone, Xiaoning walked back and sat down on the sofa again. Meng Ping looked at her. Xiaoning raised a finger and pressed it on her lips to signal for silence. Okay, keep watching. If he comes out, follow him immediately and find out who this person is. Okay, report any new information immediately. Xiaoning hung up the phone and said to Meng Ping, there's something going on. 10 minutes ago, a woman in her 60s walked into Li Gongkong's room. She seemed to be very familiar with the area. Strange, we knew there has never been such a person in the information. When Meng Ping heard this, he immediately became energetic and asked, aren't you out yet? No, they will call me right away. Xiaoning muttered, strange, who could this person be? We'll find out later. Once she enters your site, Can she still run away? Meng Ping said. Xiaoning laughed, that's true. Meng Ping stood up, went to pour a glass of water, brought it back and handed it to Xiaoning and said, then sit a little longer. If you want to leave now, I won't let you go. Xiaoning's face turned slightly red, and Meng Ping quickly explained, I also want to know who this person is. Xiaoning looked at him and smiled again. Meng Ping found that Xiaoning seemed to be much more relaxed and lively when Lao Cha was not around. Thinking about it again, it's true that Lao Cha, not to mention Xiaoning, even myself and Lao Zhu were much more serious in front of him. Although he always spoke so slowly and leisurely, there was something different about him. This is probably the aura. Xiaoning sat there and closed her eyes. After a while, she snored softly and fell asleep. Meng Ping went to the cabinet, took a blanket, walked over, and gently covered her body. Xiaoning woke up, looked at the blanket on her body, understood, said thank you, and then laughed at herself, said, why did I fall asleep? Maybe I'm too tired, Meng Ping said. Xiaoning smiled and said, maybe, I stayed in the car all night last night. Go to sleep. I'll call you when the phone rings, Meng Ping said. No need, Xiaoning smiled sleepily, I will definitely wake up. With that said, she closed her eyes again. Meng Ping stood up, walked back to his desk and sat down. He turned on his computer and started to install a software based on the email Zhang Chen sent him. Zhang Chen told him that after installing this software, they could chat online. Video, I don't know what the hell it is. The email said it was Zhang Chen who invited you, but it wasn't from Zhang Chen. It was from the system. It was a letter in English. At least Meng Ping could still understand it. He followed the email prompts, clicked yes and OK step by step, installed it, and opened it. It was an instant messaging software called MSN. A prompt box popped up on the screen, saying that Zhang Chen had invited him, and asked him if he accepted the invitation. Meng Ping clicked yes, and another Lu Ligan popped up inviting him. Meng Ping also clicked yes, and his among the contacts, Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan appeared. He saw Zhang Chen's name flashing, but before he could click on it, Xiaoning's cell phone rang. Sure enough, Xiaoning sat up straight and opened the phone. Explain. Meng Ping quickly stood up and walked over. What? Li Gongkong came out with her? Got into a taxi? Okay, you follow, don't get lost or be discovered by them, and pay attention to whether there is a tail behind you. After hanging up the phone, Xiaoning looked at Meng Ping and said, Li Gongkong came out with the woman, as if they were going somewhere, and they just got into a taxi. Meng Ping said excitedly, finally, I made a discovery. Xiaoning nodded, this is probably the breakthrough. It's really hard to find a place after wearing iron shoes. It took no effort to get here. He saw Xiaoning staring at him and quickly smiled, no, it doesn't take no effort to get here. It's all because of you 24 hours of squatting. 20 minutes later, Xiaoning's cell phone rang again. She pressed the speakerphone, and a voice rang from the phone. Counseling, they arrived at Gilu Hospital, it seems they came to see someone. Where are you? Xiaoning asked. At the entrance of the hospital. Okay, you divide your troops into two groups. One group goes in to understand the situation, and the other group continues to guard the outside. We will come right away. Yes. Xiaoning stood up and said to Meng Ping, Lao Meng, take your car and we will go there. Meng Ping quickly said yes. Thanks for the tip, I don't know whoever asked, but I ranked third from top to bottom, and 131 on the shore. Thanks for the monthly pass to Quiet Room. Have a good evening everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1076. The two took the elevator down to the underground parking lot and walked to Meng Ping's car. Meng Ping saw an Audi parked next to it. It was vaguely the same car that picked up Lao Cha at the entrance of the Jinling Hotel that day, but the civil license plate in Nanjing urban area has been changed. "Is this your car?" Meng Ping asked. "How do you know?" Xiaoning asked curiously. Meng Ping smiled, "I don't think you will come by bus." "Then there are so many cars here, how do you decide that this one is mine?" Xiaoning asked. Meng Ping still smiled and said no more. The two people got in the car and drove to the gate of Gilu Hospital, which was still 5 or 6 meters away. Xiaoning said and pulled over. Meng Ping stopped the car on the side of the road. Xiaoning did not get out of the car. Instead, she reached out her hand and blew the horn twice on Meng Ping's steering wheel. Diagonally across the road, a man got out of a maroon Santana parked on the side of the road, walked over, opened the door, and sat in the back seat. Xiaoning did not introduce them to each other, but asked, "What's going on?" Li Gongkong and the woman went in when they got here and went to the inpatient department, probably to see some patients. Xiao Tao and De Lu went in to understand the situation, but they haven't come out yet. Just as he was talking, he saw a man and a woman coming out of the hospital door. The man in the back saw it and said, "Come out." Xiaoning stretched out her hand again and honked the horn twice. The two of them looked this way. The young man got into Santana, and the girl looked left and right, then walked towards them. That one, quickly stepped aside. The girl opened the car door and got in. "Do you understand clearly, Xiao Tao?" Xiaoning asked. "It's clear, Chief," the girl said. "This woman's name is Zhao Jinhua. They are here to see her son. Her son has liver cancer and lives here." "What's the relationship between Li Gongkong and them?" Xiaoning asked. "That's not clear yet." Xiaoning said, "Okay, let's split up immediately and leave 2 people behind. The others will go to the police station, neighborhood committee, and Li Gongkong's former factory to find out who Zhao Jinhua is to Li Gongkong." "Yes," the 2 people in the back row said in unison. The two got out of the car, and Xiaoning and Meng Ping said, "Let's go." Meng Ping looked at his watch and asked, "It's almost 1 o'clock. Can we go have lunch, Chief?" Xiaoning smiled and said, "Then you treat me, I can't afford to treat you, a big boss, so I can just eat a bowl of belly noodles." Xiaoning giggled as she spoke, and Meng Ping also laughed. They returned to Meng Ping's building, parked the car, and went to eat on the 5th floor of the shopping mall. Meng Ping took Xiaoning past the entrance of each hotel. The greeters at the door all knew Meng Ping and greeted him. Meng Ping and Xiaoning said, "You can pick whatever you want to eat." "Does every hotel here know you and give you discounts?" Xiaoning asked with a smile. "Yes, that's right," Meng Ping said. "It's great. It's hard to beat a big boss, so I'll choose an expensive one." Xiaoning pointed to a Cantonese restaurant and said, "I want to eat Cantonese food." Meng Ping pointed to the opposite side of Tianting and said with a smile, "Chaozhou food is more expensive, let's go to the opposite side to eat Chaozhou food." Xiaoning said, "Yes, if you don't eat, you won't get it." The two of them went to the Chaozhou restaurant across the street and sat down in a private room. Meng Ping handed the menu to Xiaoning and said, "You can choose the most expensive one." Xiaoning shook her head and said, "No, the store has to pick the most expensive ones. After I come in, I have to pick the dishes I want to eat the most, otherwise I will suffer a loss." Meng Ping smiled and nodded and said, "That makes sense." After the two of them finished eating, they went back to Meng Ping's office. As soon as Xiaoning sat down on the sofa, she yawned and shouted, "Oh, why do you feel so sleepy after eating?" Meng Ping said, "You can sleep for a while you have nothing to do now." Xiaoning said, "Yes, I hope there will be good news to wake me up." She picked up the blanket on the sofa and covered her lower body, tilted her head to the armrest of the sofa, and closed her eyes. Meng Ping walked to his desk, sat down, and opened both Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan on MSN. Zhang Chen asked, "Where are the people?" Lu Ligan asked, "Lao Meng, where did he die?" Meng Ping smiled and wanted to reply to them, but he felt a little sleepy. Probably because he got up too early to play swordplay in the morning, he leaned back and fell asleep leaning on the executive chair. When Meng Ping woke up, it was already past 3 o'clock. He just sat here and slept for almost an hour. He rubbed his eyes, stared at the computer screen, took the keyboard, and typed in Zhang Chen's dialog box, "Where is the person?" In Lu Ligan's dialog box, he replied, "Where did he die?" Both of them were quiet and unresponsive. This time should be when they were busiest, and they were unlikely to stay in front of the computer. Unlike me, an unemployed person, who could sit and sleep in broad daylight. Meng Ping looked at Xiaoning on the sofa. She was still sleeping soundly, and there was no good news to wake her up yet. Meng Ping sat there bored, looking at her, thinking, those people called her staff Ning and chief, what level of staff was she? Meng Ping lay on the table, resting his chin on the table, looking at her across from him. He found that although this face was not beautiful, her facial features were quite attractive, especially when she was sleeping. She looked like a little girl. The upper lip is slightly raised, looking a bit coquettish. Meng Ping tilted his head and looked at her with his face against the table. When he looked at her like that before, her face was horizontal, but when he looked at her like this now, her face was upright. Meng Ping stared at her, fascinated, and felt a little warm in his heart. He thought about this woman, and this face seemed to make people feel at ease. He thought about what her husband would see every day when he woke up, with such a cute and innocent face. Meng Ping thought to himself that he was actually quite happy to be her husband. Xiaoning's head moved, and Meng Ping panicked for a while. He quickly closed his eyes tightly and pretended to be asleep. After a long time, he heard no movement. He quietly opened his eyes and found that Xiaoning had turned around and faced the sofa. Meng Ping heard himself sigh in his heart, and he actually felt a little regretful. Meng Ping sat up straight and looked at the computer screen. There was still no movement from Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan. He typed in Lu Ligan's dialog box, "Where are the people?" In Zhang Chen's dialog box, he typed, "Where did he die?" Neither Zhang Chen nor Lu Ligan ignored him. Xiaoning's cell phone rang, and Xiaoning sat up. Meng Ping also stood up, walked over, and sat down on the sofa next to Xiaoning. Xiaoning cleared her throat, then pressed the speakerphone, "Speak." The phone rang with the voice of the girl named Xiao Tao whom Meng Ping had met at noon. "Chief, I understand that this Zhao Jinhua was Li Gongkong's former apprentice at Factory 924. We still found a former female colleague of Zhao Jinhua. She told us. She said that this Li Gongkong and Zhao Jinhua had an unusual relationship. At that time, Zhao Jinhua's family there are many people and heavy burdens. Li Gongkong is alone, and he often supports Zhao Jinhua financially. Zhao Jinhua's husband came to the factory several times to make trouble, saying that the master and apprentice were working together to engage in corruption. He also said that the money Li Gongkong gave Zhao Jinhua was all Zhao Jinhua made from selling it. Zhao Jinhua insisted that she was the master is the godfather, so Li Gongkong will support her. This kind of thing is also a headache for the factory leaders. You can say it's not true. My husband has come to the factory to make trouble. You can say it is yes. I didn't catch him at that time. There is no evidence. We discussed it over and over again. In the end, we decided Li Gongkong was given a demerit and Zhao Jinhua was transferred away. It is said that Zhao Jinhua later got divorced and lived alone with her young son. This younger son is the one who is hospitalized in Gilu Hospital with liver cancer. He is a bit stupid by nature. He is almost 30 years old, still single, and has been following Zhao Jinhua. Where is Zhao Jinhua? Xiao Ning asked. Still in the hospital, Li Gongkong is also still there, Xiao Tao said. Is there anything more going on here in the hospital? Xiao Ning asked. Yes, a man said, according to the doctor's report, Zhao Jinhua's son already owed medical bills. Zhao Jinhua often cried in the hospital. Today Li Gongkong came and paid 8,000 for them, and the money owed was cleared. But if surgery and follow-up treatment are still not enough, and the son does not have an employer or medical insurance, Li Gongkong, although he wants to help, seems to have no money. Counsel Ning, this is the situation here in the hospital. Okay, please observe closely and report immediately if there is any new situation, Xiao Ning said. Yes, the other party replied. Xiao Ning put the phone on the coffee table, put one hand on her thigh, and supported her chin with the palm of her hand, thinking blankly. After a while, she turned her head, looked at Meng Ping and asked. Lao Meng, tell me, could this silly son be the son of Li Gongkong and Zhao Jinhua? Meng Ping's eyes lit up and he shouted, this is really possible. Xiao Ning picked up the phone and dialed. When the call went through, Xiao Ning said to the other end of the phone. Xiao Tao, try to get as close as possible to Zhao Jinhua to find out whether the hospitalized patient may be Li Gongkong's son. Okay, Chief, Xiao Tao said. Xiao Ning put down the phone and continued the previous action, thinking blankly. After a while, she said to Meng Ping. Lao Meng, if that patient is really Li Gongkong's son, he will be able to find him without any trouble. It will take no effort at all to get him. What are your plans? Meng Ping asked. Xiao Ning looked at him and smiled and said, it's not that I have any plans, but I need you as an entrepreneur and philanthropist to appear as a great benefactor and use your actions to influence Li Gongkong. Meng Ping understood, looked at Xiao Ning and nodded. More than an hour later, Xiao Tao called and said excitedly, Chief, you guessed it right, that patient is indeed Li Gongkong's son. Both Meng Ping and Xiao Ning's eyes lit up, and Xiao Ning asked, Xiao Tao, how did you know? Then Zhao Jinhua was sitting on a chair in the corridor crying, and I pretended to be a family member of the patient in the next ward. I sat next to her and comforted her. Once we got acquainted with her, I asked her who the man in the ward was to your son. Zhao Jinhua told me that he is the father of his son. Really? Xiao Tao, are you sure? Confirm, Chief. After Zhao Jinhua finished speaking, he also added that he was his biological father. Well done, Xiao Tao, Xiao Ning shouted. Putting down the phone, Xiao Ning looked at Meng Ping. Both of them laughed. Xiao Ning asked, Lao Meng, should we plan our next step? Meng Ping smiled and said yes. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 1077. Meng Ping and Xiao Ning sat down, and the result of their discussion was that Xiao Tao was sent to continue to contact Zhao Jinhua. This time, she was not only a family member of the patient in the next ward, but also an employee of Meng Ping's company. Xiao Tao wanted to show his sympathy for Zhao Jinhua's situation. At the same time, they must grasp the appropriate timing and reveal it inadvertently, saying that the boss of their company is a good person and often does some charity work. In a situation like Zhao Jinhua's, she can talk to her boss, but for the specific situation, Zhao Jinhua and the others need to go to the company to discuss it themselves to see if her boss will agree to help. If her boss agrees to help, Zhao Jinhua's son's medical expenses will be covered. It won't be a problem. The two people went over the plan several times and felt that this way of entry was natural. If Zhao Jinhua came, Li Gongkong would definitely come with him. In this way, it would not be Meng Ping who went to Li Gongkong, but Li Gongkong who would come to beg Meng Ping. Li Gongkong will definitely not doubt that there are other reasons for this. He would definitely not be wary of Meng Ping at all. Next, it depends on your Lao Meng's ability and how you move him, Xiao Ning said with a smile. Meng Ping nodded. Xiaoning looked around and thought of a question. She said to Meng Ping, "Lao Mang, do you feel that your place doesn't look like a company at all? In other words, it doesn't look like a normal company at all." Then Li Gongkang, "Well, are you getting suspicious just because you're going to come in?" Meng Ping took a look, and he didn't think it was like a company. How could there be such an empty company? The boss of this company often did some charity work. What a scam. No, before you do this, you must first make your place normal, with employees and projects, so that it looks like a normal company. Xiaoning said, "Don't forget, once you come into contact with Li Gongkang, everything about you will be exposed to the sun, and also to the eyes of those who may be watching Li Gongkang closely. Although no trace of these people was found, but nothing can be done carelessly." After Xiaoning finished speaking, she looked at Meng Ping. Meng Ping nodded, thinking what she said made sense. Moreover, there is no airtight wall in this world. Once you donate to Li Gongkang's son, maybe the news media will know about it immediately, and some media will come to your door. Xiaoning said, "For them, this is too much. Good news material." "It's okay," Meng Ping said, "I'll start recruiting people tomorrow. There are tons of people signing up. It's just a matter of recruiting a few people. What a big deal. What if the people we recruit are overcrowded and spoil our business?" Xiaoning said, "There are no people who are recruited in this society. Can you ensure that there are no people with ulterior motives mixed in?" Meng Ping was stunned. It was really possible. "Like this, Lao Mang," Xiaoning muttered, "we have to publish it in the newspaper and recruit people, but those recruited must be our people. I will let our people mix among these applicants, including Xiao Tao. I will give you a list, and when you actually admit, you will admit these people. In this way, Xiao Tao will really become a member of your company. Even if someone wants to investigate her, they can't find any flaws. By the way, I will also sign up. Lao Mang, you have to admit me too." Meng Ping smiled and said, "Okay, I'm recruiting a general manager, and you can apply for this general manager. As a polished commander, are you someone who can help you with such chores as signing up?" Xiaoning asked. Meng Ping said yes. "That's good. You alone have control of the list. By the way, it includes your friends. You must have a reasonable explanation for them. They will definitely be very concerned about your company when they know that your company is recruiting people. There are still others who may. If you want to introduce some friends to work in your company, you have to think about how to decline them politely." Meng Ping said, "Yes, I know what to do, I have a way." Xiaoning looked at Meng Ping and asked, "Do I need to give you time to think about it again?" "Once you have thought about it, I will report our plan to Lao Cha." Meng Ping nodded and said, "Don't think about it, I've already thought about it." "Okay, I'll call Lao Cha." Xiaoning stood up, walked to an empty office, and closed the door. After more than 20 minutes, Xiaoning came out and said to Meng Ping, "Lao Meng, Lao Cha agreed to our plan, but he made a request: let us not ignore our opponents. All this must be done flawlessly. Although everyone is ours, you must do it immediately. It operates like a real estate company. Everyone who is recruited must buy insurance for them and pay them a salary every month. Also, there will be a land auction in Nanjing next month. Even if we don't bid, we have to pay a deposit and sign up to participate in the auction. Where is the real estate company? If we are absent from the land auction, we can go to the scene without raising placards, or when the auction starts, raise your name twice, and don't compete with others. It's okay if you don't actually make a deal, but you can't not even register your name." Meng Ping said yes, and Lao Cha was right to consider it. By the way, Lao Cha also asked, "Is there any money in your company's account?" Xiaoning asked. "Of course," Meng Ping said. "Lao Cha asked you to find a way to transfer all the money tomorrow, transfer it to a friend's company you trust, or transfer it to your personal card," Xiaoning said. What? Meng Ping was confused. Lao Cha said that I must be responsible for you. After all your money is transferred, a sum of 5 million will come in for Xiao Tao. By the way, Xiao Tao is the treasurer in the unit. Here, you let her. Let's continue with the finances. Lao Cha said that he would ask Xiao Tao to create a separate account. Once the 5 million is received, all the company's expenses will come from it. Including the money to be donated to Li Gongkong's son, it all comes from here. As long as you grasp it, the accounts are clear, and it complies with the financial system, he will eventually be reimbursed, Xiao Ning said. Meng Ping said, this donation is only a small amount. I have donated the money myself and it will be regarded as a good deed. Xiao Ning smiled and said, no, with this fund, your money should be used to treat me to dinner. Meng Ping also smiled, you can eat as much as you have 7 forks. Here, give me your company account number, Xiao Ning said. Meng Ping wrote her the company account number, and Xiao Ning said, remember, transfer the money in the account tomorrow. There is no need to transfer it, as long as the 5 million is created separately, Meng Ping said. No, it must be transferred, Xiao Ning said. Old Cha clearly stated that he must be responsible for you. If there is money in your account, if something goes wrong, he cannot bear this responsibility. Okay, Meng Ping said. Xiao Ning sat there, tilted her head and thought for a moment, then laughed. Why are you laughing? Meng Ping asked. Xiao Ning smiled and said, I laugh, this is really a perfect plan. Lao Meng, tell me, are we geniuses? Don't brag, it's dinner time, tell me, which expensive restaurant do you want to eat at tonight? Meng Ping asked. Just the Cantonese restaurant at noon, I think it will also be very expensive, Xiao Ning said. Okay, let's go. Meng Ping and Xiao Ning went to the Cantonese restaurant. The problem that had been nagging them seemed to be solved, especially since their plan had been approved by their superiors. The two of them relaxed and even had a drink at dinner. Order wine. Meng Ping found that Xiao Ning became a little naughty and cute after she relaxed. It turned out that it was probably because of the nature of her work. She kept a straight face and acted seriously every day. This rare relaxation and casualness was just for her. As if he had stolen it, he felt so relaxed and immersed in himself, and so joyful from the bottom of his heart. These all infected Meng Ping. After the two of them finished eating, they returned to Meng Ping's office and entered the door. Meng Ping was about to turn on the light when Xiao Ning shouted, Lao Meng, don't turn on the light. As she spoke, she ran towards the floor-to-ceiling glass, looked at the lights outside, and shouted, this is so beautiful, Lao Meng, come and take a look. Meng Ping walked over, and the two stood side by side, looking outside. At that time, there were not so many high-rise buildings in Nanjing. All the lights were scattered on the ground instead of standing in the sky. They were all dim and had a pyrotechnic atmosphere that made people dizzy. The lights, instead of the blue and bright lights of high-rise buildings, make people feel the indifferent light. Every street and alley is meandering in this area of lights. You can see people's heads moving in the alleys, and you can see the traffic passing through the streets. Standing here and looking down, it is as if you are overlooking the world from the sky, giving you a sense of wonder. A kind of trance and dizziness, people are in a daze. Although Meng Ping had experienced many nights in this office, he seemed to have never looked outside so seriously, especially when he looked outside in the dark. The lights outside became particularly bright, especially when it was so peaceful. People stand side by side, side by side. This gave Meng Ping a different experience. In the darkness, Meng Ping stretched out his hand to grab something. He moved his right hand, and the other hand seemed to be looking for him. The two hands held each other naturally. Then, he turned around, Meng Ping seeing her slightly upturned lips and her slightly upturned face, she was a little frightened and a little expectant. The light outside brightened half of her face, giving off a warm luster. Meng Ping's heart skipped a beat. He heard a sigh, coming from her, as if coming up from the bottom of a very deep well. The two couldn't help hugging each other and kissing. When Meng Ping picked her up and wanted to take her to the sofa, Xiao Ning was shocked and shouted. No, no, Lao Meng, this is against discipline, we can't. Xiao Ning broke away from Meng Ping and ran to the sofa to sit down. Meng Ping followed and Xiao Ning shouted. Lao Meng, go turn on the light. Meng Ping stood there for a while, then walked to the switch next to the door and turned on the light. Xiao Ning sat there, covering her face with her hands, hanging her head. Meng Ping walked over and sat down on the sofa on the side. Xiao Ning kept shaking her head and said, No, no, Lao Meng, I want to apply to Lao Cha to be transferred from this position. It's not necessary, Meng Ping said, we are all adults. I think we can control our emotions. Xiao Ning's head stopped shaking, but she still covered her face with her hands and lowered her head. After a long time, Xiao Ning raised her head and looked at Meng Ping. Meng Ping saw her face was blushing and there were tears in her eyes. You're right, Lao Meng, Xiao Ning murmured, you're right, we are all adults, Lao Meng, we can control ourselves, right? Meng Ping nodded. Xiao Ning smiled miserably, okay, I want to hug you one last time, and then we will be comrades. Meng Ping said yes. The two embraced, not only hugged, but kissed, not only kissed, but continued. Xiao Ning said, okay, Lao Meng, I want you to remember me, but tomorrow. We are colleagues, Meng Ping said. Thank you to Dal Tin Soldier and RIRI Shushu for the reward. Thank you for your monthly passes to Smiling and Running Y and Yuwingzi. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1078. After Xiao Ning left, Meng Ping called Qianfang and told her that we would have supper together and call Jiaking, Li Yang and the others over. I have something else to tell you. Qianfang said yes, where to go? Let's go eat Dulao, Meng Ping said, be there at 12 o'clock. At 12 o'clock, when Meng Ping arrived at Dulao Fang, Qianfang, Ye Yulan, and Cao Ziahe had already arrived. Meng Ping asked Cao Ziahe, where is Yuan? Why didn't she come? I'm sleeping at home, I have to go to school tomorrow, and today is not Saturday, Cao Ziahe said. Meng Ping responded, saying that I had forgotten. Lao Meng, are you okay? Something seems wrong, Qianfang asked. Meng Ping laughed, what's wrong? I was thinking to myself, aren't I just a little tired? I didn't expect that the leader was very capable. Qianfang shook his head, I just don't feel right. I can't put my finger on it. You seem to be possessed by an evil spirit. Meng Ping stretched his head towards Ye Yulan. Meng Ping said, look, 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 has my yintang turned black? Ye Yulan shook her head, don't look. Qianfang said there is, so there must be. She is very accurate about you. Qianfang and Cao Ziahe laughed. Li Yang and Su Jiaking arrived. Li Yang looked at Meng Ping and shouted, what are you doing, Lao Meng? Then, he looked closer to Meng Ping and asked why Meng Ping's face was so ugly. Qianfang, Ye Yulan and Cao Ziahe were all laughing crazy, and Meng Ping himself was mumbling. He asked Su Jiaking for a makeup mirror. Su Jiaking opened the bag, gave him the makeup mirror, and asked, do you want lipstick? Meng Ping glared at her, and the others laughed again. Cao Ziahe said, no, no more funny. Meng Ping held the makeup mirror and didn't know how to open it. Su Jiaking cursed, stupid, and reached out and pressed it. The makeup mirror automatically popped open, which shocked Meng Ping again. The others laughed again. Meng Ping cursed, you women's things, and mechanisms. He looked in the mirror and saw that his complexion seemed to be fine. He stuck out his tongue and saw that the tongue coating was normal. Then he felt relieved and returned the makeup mirror to Su Jiaking. Qian Fang asked, "Did you do something to make you look like a thief with a guilty conscience?" "It's okay, it's okay. I just want to tell you that I'm hiring people and starting work," Meng Ping said. "Is the pension ended?" Qian Fang asked. "No, this time it was arranged by a leader," Meng Ping said, thinking to himself, he didn't lie to them by saying this. Wasn't the whole thing arranged by Lao Cha? Isn't Lao Cha the leader? I will post a job advertisement tomorrow. This time I will recruit all the people at once. By the way, Jiaking and Xiao, please help me the day after tomorrow and receive the applicants," Meng Ping said. Su Jiaking and Ye Yulan both agreed, and Li Yang asked, "Should I go back?" Meng Ping shook his head and said, "No, didn't I say it was arranged by the leader? Someone arranged for him to come in and just lend me a shell. By the way, Qian Fang, I will transfer all the money in the account to you tomorrow." "What the hell are you doing, Lao Meng?" Qian Fang said. "You said you wanted to recruit people, and at the same time you transferred the money away. Are you recruiting people who drink the northwest wind?" "No, no," Meng Ping said with a smile. "Isn't it arranged by the leader to lend me a shell? If they have money, they will come in. Also, they don't want others to know about this for the time being, so you usually, just don't go there, just call me if you need anything. It's better to turn around so that he won't be deceived by others," Ye Yulan said. "You think I am 25, and have you given birth to someone who can deceive me, Meng Ping?" Meng Ping cursed and looked around at everyone. Everyone was nodding. Meng Ping asked, "What do you mean?" "You are very naive sometimes," Qian Fang said. "There are not 500 million people in the country who can deceive you, but there are probably 300 million. They have already stood in more than half of Nanjing City," Ye Yulan added, and everyone laughed again. "Seriously, Lao Meng, are you doing something bad if you are so secretive?" Qian Fang asked. "I don't know if things are good or not, but I can't help the leader to use his spare energy before getting off the car," Meng Ping said. "I will talk to you again after this matter is over." Meng Ping said this, and other people believed it. Meng Ping had always done this anyway. Some people had things that were really not convenient for them to know, and Meng Ping sometimes couldn't help himself. Qian Fang sighed and said with concern, "Then be careful and protect yourself. It's too risky to do anything, so don't make yourself angry. Do you hear me?" Meng Ping nodded. The next day, Meng Ping transferred all the money in his account to Qian Fang and his company's account. In the afternoon, 5 million was paid in. When Meng Ping and Xiao Ning saw each other again, their faces turned red, and then they laughed. No one mentioned what happened last night, and they just pretended that nothing happened. Although Meng Ping looked at Xiao Ning's back, he still had some physiological reactions. Xiao Ning was right. He was indeed deeply impressed and remembered her. He didn't know that women could be so wonderful, but he also knew that since then, starting today, they must be colleagues. The recruitment advertisement was published in the Yangtze Evening News, and sure enough, there were a lot of people applying. Ye Yulan and Su Jiaking worked hard all day and collected a stack of more than 200 application forms. Meng Ping said to them, "Thank you. Thank you, I'll take care of the rest. The ones that I think are good are all given 5-pointed stars," Su Jiaking said. Meng Ping said yes. "Lao Meng, when did you do so personally and didn't need us to call you to inform you?" Ye Yulan asked. Meng Ping looked at her and said, "You have forgotten that in Heikan, I selected you one by one. Does that mean I did it myself?" "That moment, this moment," Ye Yulan said. "At that time, I was the polished commander. Now, I am still the polished commander. Is there a difference?" Meng Ping asked, and Ye Yulan was stunned for a moment. Thinking about it, there really is no difference. Ignore him, anyway, It's just a matter of a dozen phone calls, we can't kill him, Su Jiaking said. After the two people left, Meng Ping sat down. From the pile of registration forms, he hurriedly found Xianing's registration form. He saw Su Jiaking put a striking five-pointed star in the upper right corner, and Meng Ping couldn't help laughing. Got up. Looking at the registration form again, I realized that Xiaoning had graduated from Harbin Military Industry. No wonder. Meng Ping stared at Xiaoning's photo and reacted again. He quickly cursed and took the form away. After a while, he couldn't help but take it back and look at it again. Although they had not seen each other for just one day, Meng Ping felt that it had been a long time since they had seen each other. Meng Ping himself felt strange that for such a woman who was neither beautiful nor young, he felt a kind of attachment and longing for her in his heart. The sky outside darkened, and the lights of the city brought back scenes of that night. If Xiaoning were here now, Meng Ping felt that he would be unable to control himself and would hug her. Meng Ping found it incredible. He shook his head and sighed. When did I, old Meng, become so lost because of a woman? It's really this moment. Meng Ping took out the list Xiaoning gave him from the drawer. According to the list, he picked these people out of the registration form one by one, stood up, and put the other registration forms into the desk behind the desk. In the cupboard. Meng Ping took a deep breath. When he felt he was calm enough, he dialed Xiaoning's number. Hello. When Xiaoning's voice came over, Meng Ping felt panicked. It was like he was staring at her photo in front of her and she noticed it. It was like that day when his face was pressed against the table and her head moved when he looked at her. For a moment, he was also in such a panic. Meng Ping calmed down and said to Xiaoning, tomorrow, you can come and report. Okay, Xiaoning said. After Xiaoning finished speaking, both of them fell silent. They both felt they had nothing to say, but they did not hang up the phone. Meng Ping heard a sigh coming from the phone, as if it was coming up from the bottom of a very deep well. Then, Xiaoning asked hesitantly, Lao Meng, I want to go there tonight, okay? Okay, Meng Ping said. Do you want me to come over? Think. A steady beep came from the phone. Some things, once they start, will not end on their own unless there is some external force to make it stop abruptly. We are all adults and we can control our emotions. It is all nonsense. People of this age can easily, they won't show their feelings. Once they do, the thing they can't control the most is their own feelings. They are dry wood. It is also fire. They are the molten magma suppressed under the iceberg, rolling, hot, and ready to go. All the people had come to report and were sitting in the conference room. Their backs were straight, and they looked like they had undergone long-term training. Meng Ping sat there, feeling like he was attending some military meeting. Xiaoning and Meng Ping said, Director Meng, he is the chairman of the board. Director Meng, none of us have experience in company work. Please tell us. Meng Ping said yes, the first lesson in company life is that you have to relax yourself. Seeing that everyone didn't understand, he continued, the purpose is to make your waists collapse. No one in the company will sit like you. If a stranger comes in, you will sit like this one by one, and then look at him in unison, he will be frightened and think that he is about to go to court. Everyone understood and laughed. You must know that the key to sitting in an office is to sit. Sitting for 7 or 8 hours a day is very tiring, so when you sit, you have to find ways to feel comfortable. People like you will break your waist sitting down. Everyone laughed again. Come on, everyone falls down. Meng Ping shouted and everyone collapsed, but Meng Ping looked at it and wondered why it was so awkward. Meng Ping thought for a moment and understood. He said, you guys are still doing some modeling. You're pretending to be down, not really down. Let's leave it like that. Meng Ping moved his body back, lifted his feet, and placed them on the conference table. Meng Ping said, Come on, you guys get used to this action first. Let me tell you, everyone who sits in an office will have the urge to put their feet on the desk. Many times, this is the most relaxing and stress-relieving action. Come on, come on. Everyone come. They laughed and looked at Xiaoning. Meng Ping and Xiaoning said, you come first. Of course, girls can't do this when they wear skirts. Everyone burst into laughter. Xiaoning hesitated for a moment, then actually moved his chair back and put his feet on the conference table. Others saw this, and then they followed suit and put their feet on the conference table. Meng Ping shouted, okay, we will have a meeting like this today. Once you get used to this kind of action, your body will collapse. Mr. Ning, do you have anything to say? Xiao Ning smiled and asked Xiao Tao, do you have any difficulties in finance? Xiao Tao said no, the daily work is still the same, reimbursement is written with a pen, and Mr. Meng signs it, which is the report. The content is a little different between the local one and ours, but it doesn't matter, I just need to familiarize myself with it. Meng Ping said, we can use 2 pens, and Mr. Ning can reimburse them if he signs them. Xiao Ning quickly said, no, don't mess with financial discipline. All reimbursements should be made by Director Meng. Xiao Tao said yes. At the hospital, you can start tomorrow, Xiao Ning and Xiao Tao said. Yes, Xiao Tao said. Hey, second lesson in company life, in the company, we never say yes, and we say it so loudly, but we say okay, I understand, does everyone understand, Meng Ping asked. I understand, everyone said. Do you know, Meng Ping asked again. Got it, everyone said. Thank you for the tip from the third one from top to bottom, 131 on the shore. Thank you for the quiet room and the Tianying 1978 monthly ticket. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening, everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1079. Everything is going according to Meng Ping and Xiaoning's plan. Xiao Tao told Zhao Jinhua about the matter. When Zhao Jinhua heard that someone could save his son's life, he quickly ran back to the ward and told Li Gongkong the news. The two found Xiao Tao in the corridor and immediately asked Xiao Tao to take them go to the company. Zhao Jinhua and Li Gongkong said, Miss Tao and I can just go, and you can watch your son here. Li Gongkong refused. He said, his son is being watched by a nurse. I will go with you. Li Gongkong thought to himself that he had missed his son for almost 30 years. At this time, as long as he could save his son's life, he would do it even if it meant saving his own life. He was already planning to sell the house. Although others and he said that even if his dilapidated house was sold, it wouldn't be enough to save his son's life, but he thought that he would get as much money as he could. Even if he doesn't have enough money for surgery, he still needs money so that his son can eat well every day and eat what he wants. That day, Zhao Jinhua came to his place to find him. Zhao Jinhua was of course familiar with him. They used to sneak in here immediately after working the middle shift and night shift, and they lingered for a while before Zhao Jinhua hurried home. How could she not be familiar with him? Zhao Jinhua found Li Gongkong and told him that her stupid son was his flesh and blood. At that time, she did not let her husband touch her. She had not been there for more than a year, but she still got pregnant. He was not yours. Whose? Zhao Jinhua saw Li Gongkong standing there stupidly and thought he refused to believe it. Zhao Jinhua continued to chatter. Her husband, because she was pregnant, understood that every time she said she was tired and refused to come, she was actually unwilling. There was someone outside. After thinking about it, he felt that Li Gongkong, an old bachelor, was the biggest suspect. There was only one big quarrel, two quarrels, countless quarrels, and finally they gave up and the quarrel reached the factory. When Li Gongkong heard the news, he felt like a bolt from the blue, and then burst into tears. He didn't care how Zhao Jinhua proved that his son was his, nor did he care that his son was half idiot. Instead, he felt that he was about to fall into the earth, and a man fell from the sky. Son, besides being happy, he is complaining. Complaining about why there has been no news from Zhao Jinhua for so many years, complaining about why she didn't tell him that he was his son, complaining about why she got divorced and didn't bring her son to him. Zhao Jinhua said, "How dare I come to you? I was frightened when I saw my son like this. I knew it was God punishing me for doing such a shameless thing. If I come to you again, I don't know what will happen. What's up?" Alas, I hid and hid, but retribution still came. Zhao Jinhua sighed heavily. Zhao Jinhua and Li Gongkong told Li Gongkong about his son's condition. Li Gongkong hurriedly went to the hospital with Zhao Jinhua. Knowing that they still owed medical expenses, he of course spent all his savings. Unfortunately, he didn't have much savings at all after so many years. Li Gongkong knew that he was dead and didn't even have anyone to collect his body. How could he keep the money? He ate either pig liver or fish every day. By the time he died, the factory had collapsed. It's definitely unreliable. I don't know what the neighborhood committee will do with my body. Let them go. Anyway, I'll eat it all. But they didn't expect that there would be such a major event that required money before death. The doctor told them that his son still had liver cancer in the early stages, and if he was treated in time, he might be fine. Of course Li Gongkong became anxious. He thought about the things his father gave him when he was a child and the words he said to him. He felt that his father was not very clear-minded at that time. When his mother was alive, she always complained that his father was not very clear-minded. Li Gongkong has always believed that his father is a person who is not very clear-minded. He doubted the authenticity of what he said. Even if it was true, where were those treasures? Overseas, in Switzerland, it takes more than 10 hours to fly, and the plane ticket costs thousands of dollars. If you don't have time, don't tell me, Li Gongkong will spend money on a story told by a person who doesn't have a clear mind. Well, the money is spent, but it's gone. The most important thing is that even if he wants to go, he doesn't have the thousands of dollars. With these thousands of dollars, the plane probably won't take an old guy like him. When Li Gongkong heard Zhao Jinhua say that there was a big boss who might be able to save his son's life, he would definitely come with Zhao Jinhua and beg the big boss to save his son. Li Gongkong felt that he had no other advantages, but age was an advantage. When an old man in his 80s kept begging him in front of him, even a hard-hearted person would probably feel compassion. When Li Gongkong and Zhao Jinhua followed Xiao Tao to the building, they felt dizzy. Looking up, they could not see the end of the building. Such a big building belonged to the same boss. This gave Li Gongkong and Zhao Jinhua confidence. This boss just popped it out from under his fingernail, just a little bit, it was enough to save their son's life. After entering the building and seeing such a high-end appearance inside, the two of them were a little dumbfounded. They didn't expect that there would be such a place in Nanjing, where they had lived for decades. Then they entered the elevator and went up. As their eyes stared at the numbers and kept beating, the two of them shivered again. The people who lived here, who lived at such a high place, were from two different worlds. Can he know the hard work on the plains and understand their sorrow? Li Gongkong and Zhao Jinhua felt that they had come to the wrong place. The two of them were in a state of confusion, and they began to tremble. Xiao Tao understood them and told them, "Grandpa and Grandma, don't be afraid. Our boss is a very, very good person." Even though Xiao Tao comforted them like this, Li Gongkong and Zhao Jinhua couldn't stop trembling. They walked into Meng Ping's company and trembled into Meng Ping's office. Xiao Tao stood at the door, Meng Ping was looking at the computer. Xiao Tao clicked twice on the open door. Meng Ping turned around. Xiao Tao and Meng Ping said, "Dr. Meng, these are the two old men I told you about." When Meng Ping heard this, he quickly stood up and shouted repeatedly, "Okay, please come in, come in quickly, you two old people." Meng Ping greeted them at the door and invited them in. He also supported Li Gongkong carefully for a while. In this moment, Li Gongkong felt calm. He felt that Meng Ping was still from the same world as him and he didn't dislike him at all. It doesn't mean anything either. Zhao Jinhua also felt that the boss with such a nice smile was really, as the little girl said, a very, very good person. Li Gongkong and Zhao Jinhua sat down on the sofa. Xiao Tao brought them water and put it in front of them. The two old people quickly got up to say thank you. Meng Ping said, "Sit down." The old man should sit down, she, the child, should do it. Xiao Tao made a face at Meng Ping, making both Li Gongkong and Zhao Jinhua laugh. Meng Ping did not sit on the sofa on the side. That way, when he talked to the two old men, the old men would turn to look at him. He moved a chair from in front of the desk to opposite the two old men and sat down, facing them. He sat there with his legs together and his hands on his thighs. He was not at all like the young people nowadays. Arrogant. Just this moment, Li Gongkong felt that this big boss was a very polite person. Meng Ping looked at them and said, "Old man, I heard from Xiao Tao that your son lives in Gilu Hospital, right?" "Oh, I originally wanted to go there tomorrow to have a look, but I didn't expect you to come here today. I'm so sorry." When Li Gongkong and Zhao Jinhua heard this, Li Gongkong quickly said, "Boss Meng, we are here to beg you. Of course it is our turn to come. There is no reason to let you go." "Oh, old man, please don't say that. I really don't dare to take it for granted. I am also a father. This father is not anxious when his son is sick. I completely understand your feelings. As long as if I can help, I will definitely help. Old man, let's never say this word of begging again, okay?" Li Gongkong felt warm in his heart when he listened, and he quickly said, "Okay, thank you, Boss Meng, I won't say anything anymore." Zhao Jinhua asked Meng Ping, "How old is Boss Meng's son?" Meng Ping rambled casually, "He's 9 years old." "Old man, what's going on with your son?" Before Zhao Jinhua could speak, tears were streaming down her face and she was speechless. Meng Ping quickly gave her a tissue and told her, "Don't be in a hurry, don't be in a hurry, old man, when you get here, it's like you're at home, let's all come up with a solution, okay?" Meng Ping turned around and asked Xiao Tao, "Do you know about the situation of the old man's son?" "I know," Xiao Tao said, "before I came here, I specifically asked the doctor. The doctor told me that their son had liver cancer, but it was in the early stage. If I ask experts from Shanghai Huashan Hospital, they are like this in China. If you can invite them to come for consultation and surgery, you will have a great chance of recovery." Meng Ping nodded and asked, "Have you ever asked when they can come over?" "I've asked," Xiao Tao said. "Gilu Hospital is a cooperative unit with Huashan Hospital. Every week, experts from Huashan Hospital will come here. If the medical expenses can be paid, they can immediately contact me. Huashan Hospital should be able to send experts on liver cancer over next week." "How much does the medical treatment cost?" Meng Ping asked. "The cost of the operation, plus the cost of postoperative treatment and recovery, is probably between 130,000 and 150,000, Xiao Tao said. Meng Ping lowered his head and thought. Li Gongkong and Zhao Jinhua both looked at him eagerly. After a while, Meng Ping put his hands on his thighs, patted them gently, and said to Xiao Tao, "Well, I think it's not easy for these two elderly people. So, you take a check for 150,000 yuan to the hospital and tell them that we will bear the medical expenses. It's important to save lives, and ask them to contact Shanghai Huashan Hospital immediately. When Li Gongkong and Zhao Jinhua heard Meng Ping's words, they quickly stood up and thanked her. Zhao Jinhua said and wanted to kneel down to Meng Ping. Meng Ping quickly reached out to support her and shouted, "You can't do it, old man, you can't do it. Thank you for your monthly pass. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all a happy life." The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 1080. More than 20 days later, there will be a land auction in Nanjing. According to Xiaoning's wishes, Meng Ping's company went to register and paid the auction deposit. Meng Ping looked at the land auctioned and was actually quite interested in one of the pieces. "Well, this land is opposite my building and next to the Jinling Hotel." Xiaoning smiled and said, "If you are interested, you can go and take pictures when you arrive. However, whether you take pictures or not, at least we have something to do now. This way, the company will look more like a regular company." They immediately took action and really started researching and planning this piece of land. On the wall of the conference room, there was a floor plan of the land, as well as various architectural sketches. Everyone looked very busy. If an outsider comes in, it will be like that here. Liver cancer experts from Shanghai Huashan Hospital arrived on Monday. After examining Li Gongkong's son, they decided to have surgery on Tuesday morning. On Tuesday, Meng Ping wanted to go to the hospital. Xiaoning said, "Xiao Tao and I can go on behalf of the company. If you go in person, will it seem too serious and arouse Li Gongkong's suspicion?" Meng Ping thinks about it and it makes sense. Xiaoning and Xiao Tao went to the hospital. After more than an hour, when it was almost 10 o'clock, Meng Ping thought that he should go to Gilu Hospital. He had to go at this time, so that he would be more moved by Li Gongkong. Meng Ping drove to the entrance of Gilu Hospital, got out of the car and called Xiaoning, telling her that he was already at the entrance of the hospital. "Where are you?" Xiaoning and Meng Ping said, "We are at the door of the third operating room, come here." Meng Ping found the third operating room. In the corridor at the door, he saw Xiaoning and Xiao Tao, as well as Li Gongkong and Zhao Jinhua, all sitting here. Xiaoning and Meng Ping said that the operation had already been performed inside. When Li Gongkong and Zhao Jinhua saw Meng Ping arriving, they quickly came over to thank them. As soon as Zhao Jinhua saw Meng Ping, tears fell down and she said to Meng Ping, "Thank you, Boss Meng. Thank you, Boss Meng. Thanks to Boss Meng, my son will be saved." With that said, Zhao Jinhua knelt down to Meng Ping again. Meng Ping and Xiaoning quickly supported her. "The operation will take more than 2 hours. Meng Ping is sitting here." Li Gongkong and Zhao Jinhua look at him and keep saying thank you. This makes Meng Ping feel guilty and feels that no matter what, he is just acting. Now that the purpose of deceiving these two old men was achieved, Li Gongkong had fully expressed his gratitude. Meng Ping himself felt awkward sitting here again. Meng Ping stood up and said to Xiaoning and Xiao Tao, "I'll leave first. You two will accompany the two elderly people here. When they come out, call me." Xiaoning and Xiao Tao quickly agreed. Meng Ping left Gilu Hospital and went back to the company. At about 12 o'clock, Xiaoning called Meng Ping and told him that the operation was successful. The next step was to see postoperative treatment and recovery. Experts from Shanghai he said that as long as the postoperative treatment is proper, Li Gongkong's son's body will recover very quickly. I asked Xiao Tao to accompany the two elderly people, and I came back first after asking experts to write a postoperative treatment plan. Meng Ping said yes. As soon as Xiaoning walked into Meng Ping's office, she excitedly said to Meng Ping, "Lao Meng, there's something going on. Didn't you see that the expert told Li Gongkong and Zhao Jinhua that the operation was successful and their son would be cured soon?" The two old men looked excited. "Lao Meng, if this doesn't move Li Gongkong, I think we can also ask Lao Cha to end this operation." Either it didn't happen at all, and the whole thing was fabricated by Li Lijun's French entourage, or Li Gongkong had already made up his mind to bring the secret into the coffin, Xiao Ning said. I hope so, Meng Ping smiled. In the afternoon, Li Gongkong looked at his son who was sleeping on the hospital bed. He stood up and said to Zhao Jinhua, I'm going out for a while. Li Gongkong left Gilu Hospital and got on the bus to Xinjiaikao. When he was approaching Xinjiaikao, he saw Meng Ping's building on the bus. He got off the bus at Xinjiaikao station and walked to the opposite side, arriving in front of Meng Ping's building. The building was so big that there were more than a dozen entrances and exits on the first floor. Li Gongkong couldn't find where he was last time. Go through the door upstairs. After asking two security guards, the latter security guard heard that he was looking for the owner of the building and took Li Gongkong there. Only then did he find the entrance to the office building above on the back of the building. When Li Gongkong entered the gate, a security guard stopped him inside and asked him where he was going. Li Gongkong said he was going to the 52nd floor. Which company is on the 52nd floor? Li Gongkong didn't know what kind of company Meng Ping was. He could only tell the security guard that it was Boss Meng's company, your boss's company. The security guard belongs to the property company and is not under the control of Meng Ping and the others. When the security guard heard Li Gongkong talk about your boss's company, he thought of the property company, but the property company is on the first floor underground, not on the 52nd floor. The security guard immediately thought that this old man he was trying to trick me, so of course he wouldn't let him go up, but asked. Have you made an appointment in advance? Without an appointment, we can't go in here, or do you know their phone number? Just call them and ask them to come down and pick you up. Li Gongkong was stunned and kept shaking his head. The security guard looked at him and said, No, then I can't let you in. Let's go. Just as he was talking, Xiao Tao and another person came in from outside and quickly shouted, Security, security, this is a guest of our company. In fact, Xiao Tao and the others had been standing guard outside Gilu Hospital. They saw Li Gongkong come out, get on the bus, and followed the bus until they got here. The security guard saw Xiao Tao and the others and then let them go. As Li Gongkong walked away, he looked back at the security guard and cursed angrily. What's the matter, idiot? You look down on others. You don't even know that your own boss, Boss Meng's face, has been blown away by you. Xiao Tao laughed and quickly explained to Li Gongkong that the security guard belonged to the property management company, not their company. This building doesn't belong to Boss Meng, Li Gongkong asked. Xiao Tao said yes, it belonged to Boss Meng. However, Boss Meng himself did not have so much time to manage the building, so he hired a property management company to take care of it. Only then did Li Gongkong understand and cursed. That's from the little Pole company. Xiao Tao quickly said yes, yes. The three people went upstairs and entered the company. When people in the company saw Xiao Tao and Li Gongkong coming in, they all understood that something good was going on and everyone became excited. When they arrived at Meng Ping's company, Xiaoning and Meng Ping were sitting face to face on both sides of the desk chatting. When they saw Li Gongkong, they quickly stood up. Meng Ping asked Li Gongkong to sit on the sofa. Meng Ping and Li Gongkong said, Old man, if you need anything, just ask me to come over. Why did you come here by yourself? Li Gongkong told Meng Ping that there was something important. After thinking about it, I decided to run over and talk to Boss Meng. Li Gongkong said, looking at Xiao Ning and Xiao Tao. Xiao Ning patted Xiao Tao on the shoulder, and the two walked out and closed the door. Li Gongkong looked at the door, turned around, and Meng Ping said to him, Old man, if you have any orders, just tell me. Li Gongkong thought for a moment and asked, Boss Meng, do you know Li Lijun? Meng Ping nodded and said, You know, he is a revolutionary martyr, right? Li Gongkong said, I am Li Lijun's son. Meng Ping pretended to be shocked, stood up quickly, and shouted, "Oh, old man, I am really blind to the mountains." "So, you are a descendant of the revolutionary martyrs." Li Gongkong snorted and cursed, "What a martyr, let me be treated like an old dog. If it weren't for Boss Meng this time, my son's life would be in danger. What descendants are useless?" Meng Ping felt that he had no way to answer this, so he could only stand up and pour a glass of water for Li Gongkong. Li Gongkong took a sip of water, looked at Meng Ping, and said to him, "There is one thing, I don't know whether it is true or not. Boss Meng may have a way to find out, so I came to find you." "What's the matter, old man, tell me," Meng Ping said. Li Gongkong immediately told Meng Ping his life experience, the time he went home to his father, and what he had said to him. After hearing this, Meng Ping naturally pretended to have never heard of it and was very surprised. After Li Gongkong finished speaking, he asked Meng Ping, "Boss Meng, do you believe this?" Meng Ping said, "If it was your father who told you, then I believe it. No father would make up such a story to deceive his son. Besides, according to the time you mentioned, your father was I am preparing to go south to Guangzhou to take over the post of Chief of General Staff of the Southern Military Government. It is indeed inconvenient to carry these things with me. It is reasonable for him to return them to his hometown and give them to you." Li Gongkong nodded and said, "Just believe it, Boss Meng. My father also said so at that time. He was worried that he would be sacrificed when he attacked Yuan Shikai." Meng Ping said with emotion, "General Li is ready to sacrifice. By the way, old man, why didn't you tell the organization about this later?" Meng Ping asked. "I don't believe in the organization. The organization has made me suffer enough. If I hadn't met you, Boss Meng, I would have taken this matter to the underworld and handed it back to my father." Li Gongkong said, "I only believe in people. Boss Meng, you are a good person. If these treasures are really in the Swiss bank and you, Boss Meng, get them back, you will definitely do more good things. I believe you." Meng Ping quickly clasped his hands and said, thank you, old man." Li Gongkong looked at Meng Ping and asked, "Boss Meng, if I give you everything and the password, would you like to go to Switzerland?" Meng Ping quickly waved his hand and said, "Oh, this won't work. Old man, you should tell some of your relatives about such an important thing." Li Gongkong sighed and said, "I have no other relatives except this son. As you know, my son, I just told him, what's the use? If so many good things are really there, they won't be there in the end. Cheaper for foreigners." Li Gongkong kept smiling bitterly as he spoke. After a while, he said, "Boss Meng, I'd better tell you this. You went to Switzerland. If there is such a big treasure, Boss Meng, you just need to promise me one thing and I'll feel at ease." "Old man, tell me. As you know, I'm almost 90. No matter what, I don't have many years to live. I just hope that after I die, Boss Meng can help me take care of my son and his mother, and I don't want any glory or wealth. I would like to thank Boss Meng for letting them have food to eat every day. Old man, I'm serious. Of course I will take care of their lives." Meng Ping stood up and said to Li Gongkong, "Old man, please sit down for a while, I will be back soon." Li Gongkong said okay. Meng Ping walked out and closed the door. Xiaoning saw him coming out and rushed over immediately, asking quietly, "How are you, Lao Meng?" Meng Ping told her that Li Gongkong was ready to talk, and he had one request, which was to take good care of his son and Zhao Jinhua. Okay, promise him," Xiaoning said anxiously. "If this wealth comes back, the superiors will give 5% of it as a reward, of which 2% will be given to Li Gongkong and 10% will be given to Li Gongkong. Third, it is for all other meritorious personnel." Only then did Meng Ping understand that there was such a reward, 3%, which was at least $180 million. This was really a huge amount of money. No wonder everyone involved was so motivated. Thank you Yuengzi, Riri Fanchu, and Wolverine Tin Soldier for the rewards. Thanks for the frivolous monthly pass, why can't I change my name? Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health.